2 years ago, a 54-year-old man named David started noticing something strange during his evening walks. Not chest pain, not dizziness, not the dramatic warning signs people usually expect from heart problems. It started in his legs, a dull heaviness. One staircase suddenly felt harder than usual. His calves felt tight after short walks. Nothing felt serious enough to panic about, so he ignored it. Weeks later, while carrying groceries into his kitchen, he felt a crushing pressure spread across his chest. The shocking part? His body had been trying to warn him for months. Most people think heart trouble begins with the heart itself, but very often the blood vessels in the legs begin struggling first, and after 40, this can happen quietly. Hi, I'm Dr. Juliet, and on this channel, I help make health easier to understand so you can live a longer, stronger, and healthier life. Today, we're going to talk about the hidden warning signs that can show up in your legs before a serious heart problem develops, what may be happening inside your body, and one signal later in this video that doctors pay very close attention to, because people often brush it aside for months. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may look at your legs in a completely different way. Now, before we go any further, I want to clear up something important. When people hear the words heart attack, most minds immediately go to the same picture. Someone suddenly grabbing their chest, sharp pain, an emergency, everything happening fast. But our bodies don't always work that way. Your body is constantly sending messages all day long. The problem is that many of those messages can feel ordinary. A little heaviness here, a little swelling there. Walking feels slightly different. You get tired faster than you used to. Nothing dramatic enough to stop your day. So you continue living life as usual. You go grocery shopping, you drive to work, you climb the stairs, you watch TV at night, and think everything is fine. Meanwhile, inside the body, another story may already be unfolding. Think of your blood vessels like highways. Every second, your heart is sending blood through those roads carrying oxygen and nutrients to every part of your body. Your legs happen to be one of the longest trips blood has to make. Blood has to travel all the way down and then fight against gravity to travel back up again. When we're younger, the system usually handles that job smoothly. But after 40, certain changes can slowly begin happening. Plaque can start building up inside blood vessels. Blood vessels can become narrower. Blood flow may become less efficient. Your heart sometimes has to work harder to push blood where it needs to go. And because the legs sit farther away from the heart, they can sometimes show signs of trouble earlier than people expect. Not because your legs are the problem. They're simply speaking first. And here's something interesting. Many people spend months paying attention to chest symptoms while completely overlooking what their lower body has been saying all along. Let's get into the first hidden warning sign that can quietly appear in the legs. And this one often shows up during an activity people do every single day without giving it a second thought. Walking. Warning sign number 1. Your legs feel tired during walks that used to feel easy. Let's go back to David for a second. Remember those evening walks he used to take? Nothing extreme. He wasn't climbing mountains. He wasn't training for a marathon. Just a normal walk around his neighborhood after dinner. The kind of walk many people take to clear their heads after a long day. For years, he followed the same route, past the small grocery store, around the corner, down the quiet street with the trees. Nothing changed. Then one day, he noticed he was slowing down. Not because he wanted to. His legs simply felt different. Halfway through the walk, his calves started feeling tight, heavy. Almost like he had been exercising for hours even though he had barely started. So he did what many people do. He slowed his pace, he rested for a minute, then he kept walking. The strange thing was that once he stopped and rested, the discomfort seemed to settle down, and because it went away, he didn't think much of it. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Gradually, he started changing little habits without noticing, walking shorter distances, using elevators more often, choosing seats closer to entrances, parking closer to stores. Not because he suddenly became lazy, his body was quietly adapting. Now here's why I want you to pay attention to this. Sometimes when blood vessels become narrower, blood has a harder time reaching the muscles in your legs. Your muscles need oxygen while you're walking. They need fuel. And when enough blood isn't reaching them, the muscles start sending signals. The signal may not feel dramatic. And because the feeling improves after sitting down for a few minutes, people often brush it aside. But here's what's interesting. The discomfort itself isn't always the main issue. The important part is the pattern, because healthy muscles usually become tired after doing something demanding. But when ordinary activities suddenly begin feeling harder than they used to, when one flight of stairs starts feeling different, when short walks begin feeling longer, when your legs seem to be asking for breaks much earlier than before, your body may be trying to get your attention. And here's something many people never connect. The blood vessels in your legs are part of the same system connected to your heart. If buildup starts happening in one area, there's a chance other areas can be affected too. Which is why doctors sometimes pay close attention when leg symptoms start appearing alongside changes in heart health. Now stay with me, because the next sign can show up when you're sitting completely still. And many people notice it every night without realizing it may be connected. Warning sign number 2, the sock marks that stay longer than they used to. Let's go back to small detail from David's story, because this was the part he almost laughed off. Every night after work, he'd sit on the edge of the bed, take off his shoes, pull off his socks, and get ready to relax. Then one evening, he looked down and noticed something. Deep lines around his ankles. The shape of his socks was still sitting there on his skin. At first, he thought maybe these socks are too tight. Fair enough. Most people would think the same thing. But then it happened again and again. And after a while, he noticed something else. His ankles looked a little puffier by the end of the day compared to the morning. It wasn't painful. He could still walk, still go to work, still do everything normally. So once again, life continued. Now I want to pause here because this part matters. During the day, gravity is constantly pulling fluids downward. When blood circulation and fluid movement are working smoothly, your body handles that process pretty well. Your heart pumps blood out. Blood travels through your body. Then blood and fluids move back upward again, but sometimes things become less efficient. Instead of moving smoothly, some fluid can begin hanging around lower areas of the body longer than it should. And where does gravity pull everything? Down toward the legs, down toward the ankles, down toward the feet. So by evening, some people notice. Their shoes feel tighter, their ankles look slightly fuller, sock marks appear deeper, sandals feel different. The skin around the lower legs can even begin feeling stretched. Now here's where people usually get tricked, because swelling doesn't always arrive looking dramatic. Many people picture severe swelling where the feet suddenly double in size. That's usually not how it starts. It can begin quietly. Now I want to be clear about something. There are many reasons swelling can happen. Standing for long hours can do it. Hot weather can do it. Certain medications can do it. So seeing sock marks one day does not automatically mean someone has a heart problem. But when swelling keeps appearing repeatedly, especially when it's showing up together with tired legs or heavy calves, that's where it becomes worth paying attention. Warning sign number 3, your legs feel different at night. Nighttime is interesting, because it's usually the first moment all day where everything finally slows down. Work is done. Dinner is over. The TV is on. You're stretched out on the couch or lying in bed getting ready to sleep. Then suddenly you notice your legs. Maybe they feel restless. Maybe they feel achy. Maybe they feel heavy for no obvious reason. Some people describe it as, I just keep moving my legs around trying to get comfortable. Others say, my legs feel like they've been working all day, even though I barely did anything. And some people say something that sounds surprisingly simple. I don't know how to explain it, they just don't feel right. That last one catches my attention because many people struggle to describe changes before they become obvious. The body doesn't always send clear text messages. Sometimes it sends little hints, a strange feeling, a pattern, a repeated discomfort that keeps showing up. Now let's talk about why this can happen. Throughout the day, your leg muscles are constantly working. Even when you think you're doing very little, those muscles help support your body weight, help circulation move upward, and help keep blood flowing. When blood flow becomes less efficient, muscles and tissues may not get everything they need as smoothly as before. As evening comes, some people begin noticing sensations they barely paid attention to earlier: heaviness, tightness, aching, restlessness. And because nighttime is quiet, you suddenly become aware of feelings that were easy to ignore during a busy day. Now, once again, I want to keep this realistic. A restless feeling in the legs doesn't automatically mean heart trouble. There can be many reasons for it. Stress can play a role, poor sleep habits can play a role, muscle fatigue can play a role. But when nighttime leg discomfort starts joining the other things we've already talked about, that's when small puzzle pieces can start forming a bigger picture. Warning sign number 4, your feet feel colder than they used to. This next one surprises a lot of people because many brush it aside and think, maybe the room is cold, maybe the weather changed, maybe I just need thicker socks. Simple explanation, simple solution, end of story. But sometimes your body may be trying to tell a bigger story. Think about your feet for a second. They sit at the far end of the journey blood has to travel. Your heart pumps blood out, and that blood has to make a long trip through your body before reaching your feet. Then it has to make the trip back. It's a pretty impressive system when you think about it. Every second, every minute, every day. Without you needing to think about it. But if blood flow starts becoming less efficient, some areas can feel the effects earlier than others, and the feet can be one of them. Some people start noticing, my feet always seem cold. Everybody else is comfortable and my feet feel freezing. I put socks on and still can't warm them up. One foot feels colder than the other. Now, I'm not talking about walking barefoot on cold tiles. I'm talking about a pattern, a repeated feeling, something you keep noticing over time. Because sometimes changes happen so slowly that they quietly become part of everyday life. You adapt. You grab thicker socks. You tuck your feet under blankets. You sit closer to a heater. You create little solutions and continue with your day. And eventually you stop questioning it. But your feet need healthy blood flow just like every other part of your body. Blood carries oxygen. Blood carries nutrients. Blood carries the things your tissues need to stay healthy. So when circulation changes, your body sometimes leaves clues. Now, I want to keep this balanced. Cold feet alone do not mean someone is developing heart problems. Room temperature matters. Weather matters. Other health conditions can matter too. But if cold feet begin showing up together with heavy legs during walking, repeated swelling, nighttime leg discomfort, changes between one leg and the other, then your body may be putting several small pieces on the table. Warning sign number 5, the changes you can actually see on your legs. Sometimes the body doesn't only create feelings, sometimes it leaves visual clues. And because these changes happen slowly, many people see them every day and never stop long enough to think about them. You wake up, get dressed, take a shower, put on socks, move through your day. And because you see your own body every single day, small changes can be surprisingly easy to miss. Think about a plant sitting in your living room. If someone watered it less and less over 6 months, you probably wouldn't notice tiny changes every day. But if you looked at a photo from 6 months ago and compared it with today, suddenly you might say, wait a minute, that looks different. The body can work the same way. Some people begin noticing changes in the skin around their lower legs and feet. The skin may begin looking shinier than before. Some people notice dryness that seems harder to improve. Some notice changes in color. Some people even notice hair becoming thinner on parts of the legs. And because none of these things hurt, they usually don't create urgency. People continue with life. Now here's why this can matter. Healthy blood flow helps deliver oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. Your skin and tissues rely on that steady delivery system. When circulation becomes less efficient, the body sometimes starts prioritizing important functions first, and small outward changes can begin appearing. Again, I want to keep this realistic. Dry skin doesn't automatically mean heart trouble. Changes in appearance can happen for many reasons. But remember what we've been building throughout this video. This isn't about one isolated thing. It's about patterns, heavy legs during walks, ankle swelling, changes at night, cold feet, differences between one side and the other, visible changes over time. One clue by itself may not say much, but several clues together can say a lot. This last sign is the one doctors pay very close attention to because many people ignore it until daily life starts becoming harder. Warning sign number 6. Earlier in this video, I told you there was one sign doctors pay very close attention to because people often brush it aside for months. This is it. Pain, cramping, or a tight feeling in the legs that appears during activity and eases after resting. Now, I want you to notice something very important here. I'm not talking about the soreness you might feel after a hard workout. I'm not talking about accidentally pulling a muscle. I'm talking about a pattern. You walk for a while, your calf starts feeling tight. You slow down, you stop, you rest. A few minutes later, the feeling settles down. Then you start moving again, and it returns. For some people, it feels like cramping. For others, it feels like pressure. Some describe it as a squeezing feeling. Others simply say, my legs seem to quit before the rest of me does. That sentence catches attention because many people don't think about their legs and heart being connected. They think, the problem is in my legs. But remember what we talked about earlier. Blood travels through an entire network. When traffic slows down somewhere, the effects can sometimes show up far away from where people expect. During movement, your muscles suddenly ask for more oxygen and more fuel. Walking asks for more. Climbing stairs asks for more. Carrying groceries asks for more. If enough blood isn't reaching those muscles efficiently, your body sometimes sends a signal, and that signal can show up as discomfort. Because here's something interesting. Many people don't stop activities because of chest pain. They stop because their legs become uncomfortable first. That is exactly why paying attention to patterns matters. What to do if your body keeps showing these signs. Now, after hearing all of this, I want to clear up something important. You don't protect your heart by becoming afraid of every ache in your legs. You protect it by paying attention before small changes become bigger ones. Because remember what we talked about earlier. Your blood vessels work like one connected system. Your legs aren't separate from your heart, they're part of the same road network. And sometimes changes begin showing up in one area before they create bigger problems somewhere else. So if you repeatedly notice heavy legs during walks, cramping that keeps returning, swelling around your ankles, cold feet, changes that seem to be increasing over time, here's what you can do. First, start paying attention to patterns. Notice when it happens. Notice whether it's becoming more frequent. Notice whether ordinary activities suddenly feel different. Because understanding a pattern early can help you act sooner instead of noticing it after months have passed. Second, give your heart and blood vessels the support they need every day. Simple things matter: regular movement, managing blood pressure, keeping blood sugar under control, getting enough sleep, eating in a way that supports heart health, because healthy blood vessels help your heart do its job more efficiently. And finally, if your body keeps repeating the same message, don't keep dismissing it. Your body usually doesn't send warnings once and disappear. It tends to repeat itself, quietly at first, then louder. And paying attention early can give you something incredibly valuable: the opportunity to address changes before they become harder to ignore. Now, I want to hear from you. Out of all the signs we talked about today, heavy legs during walks, sock marks around the ankles, cold feet, nighttime discomfort, changes you can actually see, which one surprised you the most? And if you've noticed any of the signs we talked about today, share your experience in the comments. I read your comments, and many people discover they're not alone after hearing someone else's experience. And if you found this video helpful, like the video and subscribe to this channel, because simple information can sometimes help us understand our bodies in a completely new way. I'll see you in the next video.